Classic hardcore World of Warcraft was an experience I didn't really expect. In fact, I've had so many of my characters now fall that I doubted that I could ever get to the max level of 60. Well, it seems Blizzard have been watching my deaths and struggles and they've now stepped in. Well, sort of. Normally in the game is a buff called the Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer, which you get if you're in a capital city when Onyxia's head is turned in. It's a great buff, but it only lasts for 2 hours. It gives you extra spell crit, melee, and ranged, plus a huge 140 attack power. Of course, if you die, you lose that buff, which on hardcore is not possible. But now Blizzard have added another twist, a version of that buff that lasts for an entire week, 7 days of it. So with something this strong now at my disposal, you think I could finally make it past level 27? So upon logging in, I am zapped with lightning instantly, which made me think I was going to die just for logging into World of Warcraft. But that is a buff now activated. It's called the Unrelenting Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer. It's mine to keep with one simple catch. And by simple, I mean it's the entire point of hardcore World of Warcraft in the first place, which is to not die. After losing my mage to a completely avoidable death, I just wasn't prepared for it really. I re-rolled as a Night Elf Hunter. I did die again when leveling at level 6, but we just don't need to talk about that. Now here I am again at level 12, ready to actually step out into the world. Darkshore was my first stop, a zone overflowing with quests. I mean, just look at my minimap. I've been here plenty of times on Alliance characters, and somehow I've just never managed to fully finish this place. So once I grabbed every quest that I could find, it was time to put my new buff to the test and start questing. And right away the difference was pretty obvious. My pet could barely hold aggro off me and my auto shots were hitting like trucks, and my downtime basically disappeared. But I wasn't letting this go to my head. Sure, I was doing a bit more damage, but the mobs also hit me just as hard. That didn't change. So getting careless was still a pretty quick way for me to die. But I must say, the speed of killing things felt super nice, and what a way to start. One of the quests required weakening a thistlebear and then capturing it, so suddenly I'm a hunter walking around with 2 pets. And I'm in the forest feeling pretty amazing about this hunter, until another thistlebear charges at me. But my damage is solid, so I'm not too concerned yet. So I started typing out a message to my friend Forks about what I'm planning for this video, and then another bear joins in. My health is starting to drop, so I eat some food that I got from a quest earlier to heal, which still leaves me with a potion available. I'm also trying to heal my pet with Men Pet, since Duststalker is getting kinda low as well, but the heals are barely making a dent in him. Still, it's enough to keep him alive long enough for me to squeeze in a few extra shots. And then of course another bear aggro's on me. Shit. So now I gotta run. I send my pet to peel and finally pop my health potion because panic is definitely setting in, but surely I cannot die this soon. My pet somehow gets the aggro, but with basically no health left from fighting the other bears, it gets crit and dies instantly. I then regenerate just enough mana to hit Wing Clip again, but it gets parried. And I don't even think that matters. It's over. Even with a permanent onyxia buff, I died within 15 minutes of logging on.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Deep breaths, it's all gonna be okay. But if you think I wouldn't try just one more time with a buff like this, you'd be out your mind. Darkshore and everything else was just not being kind to me, so I decided to just skip that on my next character. I went to tame my rare pet again, but since it was already dead when I found it, I took that as a sign that it's pretty useless and left it. Things didn't exactly go any smoother for me, because in classic WoW when you tame a pet, you can actually fail the tame. So this owl is chunking me down to low health, my tame then fails because of course it does, and I'm like, alright, I'm dead again. I barely escaped with my life, and at this point I'm really not convinced about my survivability in World of Warcraft. I just seem to suck at it. Eventually I made it to Stormwind, decided not to tempt fate with Darkshore again. I met up with Gifu, who handed me a ridiculous amount of pet meat because at this point people were starting to feel genuinely sorry for me, so thanks for that mate. We even spotted a paladin riding the swift Zulian tiger on a hardcore realm in the Judgment set. He honestly just looked incredible. One day that'll be me. I actually had a ton of footage from a hunter's journey to show you, from my questing in Westfall, watching what can only be described as a rogue demigod wipe out every single camp and knolls like a proper assassin, or the fact that this hunter got insanely lucky and I found the captain's treasure map on the 2nd or 3rd Murloc, which then would send us on like a little treasure hunt ending with bags and silver. Or the moment I realised some homeless farmers with nothing still hand over 10 loaves of bread, the last bit of milk, the horse's blanket, and basically their only belongings because we did a task for them. The people of Azeroth are pretty questionable, but so am I because I took all their stuff anyway. On top of that, I was fighting a party of players who just didn't want to invite me, and instead it became a race to shoot and tag the Defiance members, leading to a whole body pile-up and non-stop respawns. Or the fact that I nearly got one-shot by 2 fireballs up my ass in Moonbrook by Defiance pillagers. some of the deadliest mobs in the entire game while I was questing with a female dwarf who is also a deadly and ugly creature. Not one, but 2 fireballs. Or the other fact that I somehow made it all the way to level 16, even though this buff had people acting pretty crazy. No one cared about grouping up for simple kill quests anymore. They'd just run in, tag everything in front of your face and then move on. I was getting a bit salty, I won't lie, telling people, can you not just invite me instead? I then pulled the Defiance Highwayman, not thinking anything of it. After all, I've got my pet and the onyxia buff. Well, all of a sudden, he starts hitting me insanely hard. I don't really have anything to use, anything useful to press. In hindsight, I should have used my marbles because that would have maybe gave him a 25% chance to miss. But once again, I die. Yeah, another hunter, another death on the Alliance side. I hate this game sometimes. Even with a permanent onyxia buff, I still find ways to die. But I'm just too stubborn to give up. But there is just one popular saying in hardcore WoW, and that is, we go again. Hunter clearly wasn't working for me. Alliance wasn't working either. I had to go back to Horde, and I decided to stop playing classes that I've already played. I wanted something completely new, something that would actually change my hardcore experience. And honestly, it kind of changed my perspective on hardcore classic WoW entirely. And so was born a class that I've never played in classic, a Tauren Druid. Now from what I've heard and seen on the internet, Druids apparently are pretty shit to level to 20. After that it picks up significantly. With this massive buff, I wondered if that early game struggle would then pay off into a late game domination. So the buff gives you only 10% spell critical hit chance compared to all the other benefits if you're a melee or a ranged player. Don't get me wrong, 10% spell crit is kinda nice, but after casting some spells of my own, then I hit them with my staff, I noticed my staff is literally doing double the damage. So the actual best way for me to tackle these early levels is, well, hitting things on the head with my stick. I'm literally two-shotting them thanks to the melee power being so strong at early levels. Feels like casting spells is just a complete waste of time. One of the quests here also made me genuinely second look. Taurens are supposed to be these nature-loving cow people, so why do they want us to bring back living creatures' heads so they can make food out of their snouts and feed it to their children? Taurens are kinda savage. I eventually got an invite from someone named Buta. I'd seen them running around the valley earlier. No words were ever exchanged, they just invited me and together we slaughtered every single bristleback boar and quill boar in sight. We also had to kill their chieftain, and I was starting to get a little bit nervous because once again I pulled more than one mob. I was actually casting spells before I once again realised and I was like, oh wait, I can just hit him with my stick. Buster then finally spoke to me and said,
"Done, port?"
So they must have been on the same quests as me. Once we returned the battle plans we found to the village and we delivered some snouts for the kids to eat, we had finished off Camp Narachi, pretty quickly in fact, but teaming up with Buta had me slightly behind in XP. I mentioned it and he says,
"Oh, kill."
You got it, mate. So we then spent our time killing basically everything with our staffs as we headed towards Bloodhoof village on the horizon. No animal was safe from our slaughter, and after 5 minutes I still wasn't getting much XP from them. We swam across a lake and arrived at the village. At this point I thought me and Buta would probably end up questing forever together. I didn't even realise also that Bane Bloodhoof is here in the village, a pretty important leader, but I guess it is called Bloodhoof village. See, I'm always learning new things about WoW. While accepting tasks around the camp and I was told about a pink strider who had bitten someone, and rather than do it himself or ask anyone, he stood there waiting and dying so we could go and get his ingredients. Great survival skills, mate. When I'm ready to venture off out into the world, Buta then just says,
"Thanks, bye-bye,"
and goes offline. Oh, okay. Guess we're not leveling together anymore then, destined to be alone. Questing in Mulgore is a peaceful experience. After all, I did this on my Tauren Hunter a month or so ago, but it still felt kinda fresh. I quickly got reminded that just because I deal more damage that I'm not immortal, and I chain pull more than one creature. But thanks to the power of the Druid, I actually have a self-heal now. Something on my mage and my hunters I've just never had, which is a really nice thing. And I'm also not the type to pretend the things I'm given just magically appear. My friend Leon sent me a full-on care package. He knew this was my quote-unquote last character, and he wanted to make things easier for me. He also assumed I'd probably die before level 20, so he didn't mind sending me 2 gold and some bags over. Definitely going to come in handy in them early levels, however the cheek of him thinking I'm actually going to die, I had to prove him wrong. This one was going to make it. I was questing through Mulgore, quickly approaching level 10, just peacefully collecting ingredients in the evening, when out of nowhere that same pink strider that poisoned the guy back in the village suddenly appeared. Charged straight at me and for a second I thought that I'm actually going to die again, so I hit it with a war stomp and tried to run while moonfiring it. But I noticed it actually didn't have much health. So I swapped to my stick and I smacked it a few times, as you do to wild animals in World of Warcraft. I landed a critical hit, and thanks to this buff, I absolutely destroyed the elite. The power's feeling pretty good. Now while I try and survive the battles in hardcore World of Warcraft, you should go and join the battle in today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the biggest and best vehicle combat game ever made, and it's available now for free on PC, consoles, can even play it on your mobile while you're travelling. War Thunder features a brilliant customization system with a huge library of camouflages, historical markings and decorations for all types of vehicles, including ones created by you, the community. You can take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and even ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armoured cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and the main battle tanks of today. So join a community of over 95 million players in huge epic PvP battles and get a vehicle combat experience practically like no other. The vehicles are incredibly detailed along with top-notch realistic graphics and really impactful sound effects. It truly makes you feel like you're part of the war. There's just no game better suited for fans of the military history. So go and play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox or mobile using my links in the pinned comment or the video description. New and returning players on PC and consoles that haven't played in the last 6 months will also receive a massive bonus pack. It includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions and 7 days of premium account. It's only available though for a limited time only, so go and get it downloaded and play War Thunder. I took some time to learn 2 professions, herbalism, which is basically flower picking, and I instantly got addicted. Just like I did with skinning, if I saw a yellow dot on the map, I'd sprint towards it and pick every planet in sight. The natural pairing for herbalism is alchemy, and it lets me craft my own potions, and apparently druids work and scale really well with these, and since I was genuinely committed to this character, it seemed like it was worth investing time into professions again. So while I'm minding my own business questing, Hunter called Trump X challenges me to a duel. Not to the death, but just a standard duel. He's level 11 and I think, sure, why not? So knowing Hunter's weaknesses, I ran straight on top of him and I moonfire him before I smash him with my stick. He tries to stun me with a Tauren racial war stomp, but he can't get away and he just forfeits, the coward. So I give him a easy and he says,
love,
and runs off. I remember your name. After turning in everything, I finally hit level 10, which meant unlocking the talent tree, and there was only one real choice for me, and that was going feral. Before truly starting my feral journey though, I had to take on something that could easily end in death, the run to the crossroads. You basically have to stick to the path and pray nothing notices you. A hyena 6 levels higher wandered pretty close to me, and if it had been hungry, I probably would have died. Luckily it ignored me and I arrived safely at the crossroads, where plenty of people were questing and it felt like I was coming home again. I picked up some tasks and turned some in, and one quest immediately assumed that I've already been fighting the Razormen tribe. Brother, I literally just got here, I have not done shit yet. After spending a bit of time mixing potions like I was a student at Hogwarts, it was finally time to start the Druid path. Now Druids can shapeshift, but to do that you gotta complete certain quests, including one that sent me running back and forth over and over. Eventually I had to fight something, but the NPC that I needed to fight was surrounded by skull level mobs. Who designed this quest? My heart was in my throat as I'm hugging the side of the mountain and made my way over to the Moonkin Stone. I've not even been in the Barrens as well for a minute, and already the infamous Barrens chat was going strong as usual. I summoned the mighty Lunaclaw. Defeat this owl and we're going to learn to shapeshift. Now Lunaclaw actually hit me pretty hard. I had to use my War Stomp into a heal combination. With the Dragon Slayer buff and hitting him on the head with sticks, I managed to defeat it. I then spoke to his ghost and basically said, yeah, I'm sorry for killing you, but I got told to do it. And we moved on. Now we can actually be a bear. It increases our attack power as well as our armor and our health, and it makes us practically a tank. I mean, being a bear is pretty cool to be honest. I'm wondering what our power is going to be like now. As I head to our next questing area, guess who I came across again in the Barrens? None other than Trump X, now at a higher level too. I'm now a bear stocked up with potions, and he also has a pet, so it was time to duel again. Last time I just tried standing on top of him and completely dominated him. This time he has a slowing wing clip, and while my claws would do a lot of damage to him, I just can't make up the distance at this level, and Trump X defeats me easily. I called him lucky, but he then says,
yeah, it's me.
So I tell him, next time mate, and I run away to get stronger. One of the places to go to was actually the orc starting area, Durotar, mainly Senjin village. Zalzazane and his trolls have kidnapped and killed the good trolls, so we've got to kill the bad trolls. Simple enough. And it was time to test out my new bear damage with this crazy buff. And while they are a lower level than me, the mobs round here, I bite and hit really hard. And I'm tanky, this could be pretty fun. There was also a hunter down by the shore farming crabs as well. He saw me running towards one and snipes it with his bow, and this is the exact thing that just got me killed last time for getting a bit mad at this kind of stuff. So I just ignore his mob tag and I'm running away going for my own. I mean, if you tag it, you kill it, right? He then runs up to me and says,
bro, why?
So I say, why what? And he says,
it's my name on them, can't you read?
I got confused, so I said, what are you on about? And he goes,
Ye.
oh, I think he means because his name is on the mobs that I should leave them alone. Well, he starts trying to tag everything in sight, and then it becomes a race through the water. I wouldn't mind grouping up for this, but it's a loot quest and these take forever to drop. But if that's how you want to play Kathy Kappa, I use Moonfire to tag everything, and he just says,
Keck W.
as I give him the smiley face. I won this battle, and I tell him that too. To which he accepts defeat and says GG. Well played, troll, well played. My druid was a force to be reckoned with. I wasn't scared of anything. Zalzazane the witch doctor couldn't even touch me. Couple of slap with her paws and a couple of bites and mauls and he would die, and we'd take his head too. God, my powers started to feel so good. On Hunter, thanks to auto shot, I didn't really notice the buff's damage, but right now I certainly can feel it. The reason I was here questing was mainly for the items that you get as rewards. For doing these quests you get something called really sticky glue, which can be a lifesaver going forward as it can root someone for 10 seconds. Some things was just meant to be too. While killing harpies I came across my first green item, and it happened to be a leather chest piece with +1 agility and +1 stamina. This druid was definitely it, I could tell. Things was going really well, but with the highs is also the lows. A mother had asked us to try and locate her son. He wanted to go hunting near the barrens, but there's a river there. She tried to warn him about the crocolists there, but he got mad and stormed off, and now she fears the worst. So as I was killing all the crocolists for a very, very long time, there were no signs of her son at all. Maybe he just needed time away from her, but I did find a bloody leather boot in one of their stomachs. Maybe it could be crocs, but I just couldn't be sure just yet. So I kept on slaying the rest of the crocolists that lived in the river, hoping that it wouldn't be, and after countless more kills I was like, no he's not, oh shit, yeah he's been eaten, damn. So I went back and told the mother of his fate. Naturally she started crying and was heartbroken, so we take her items and just kind of leave her on her own. Aren't we nice? As I was then leaving Durotar and I needed to catch a Zeppelin, a flying ship, naturally as soon as I get there, it flies off once again, leaving me on my own, and to wait for the next 5 minutes. I was in a place I don't really come to much either, Terrasful Glades, and I was doing a quest there to get another item, which I'll end up needing to use later on in the video, but I did find yet another rare, which was a Murloc caster. Now if I had no heals, I'd probably die to this even with the buff, but thanks to being a druid, I can heal, and I can tank, and I basically self-sustain myself so well. This class is seriously starting to grow on me. Then I ventured into the Silverpine Forest, another place I haven't really ever quested in. I waited around for about 15 minutes or so for someone called Erland. It's an escort quest, and I sort of went AFK for a quick toilet break. While I was AFK, in came a frost mage and instantly started the quest right in front of me. I guess it is a dog eat dog world. Around level 14, mobs started hitting much harder, so I actually started to have to heal mid-fight. Luckily druids have access to a mana bar too, so you can heal to full, switch to bare form and regen your mana while tanking. So I guess spirit might be a good stat as well for druids. I also completely forgot to learn all my new spells because I was just having way too much fun. And I'm always trying to help people, but this guy quickly told me that he was late to work and he's still just stood in the middle of the road, probably contemplating if he should even go into work. Don't worry, we've all been there, mate. It's also nice meeting other people in the world, and when they realise it's me and I'm not on a night elf character, well they know I've died before I've even put out this video. I said to him this is my last character, and that is because I am definitely making it to 60 this time, right? I also realised Silverpine has an elite mob called Son of Aragul, famous for killing countless players including my friends, with Forks being one of them. But I had no idea where it wandered, or what it even looked like. So I typed to him, what does Son of Aragul look like? And while typing that I noticed a darker coloured worgen walking right towards me. Click on his frames and yeah, there it is. Summoning my own death by even asking. I immediately just run away, screw that, I'm not dying. A kind priest tried to sell me a chest piece that's only a 1 stamina upgrade on mine. So I asked them how much and they want 1 whole gold for it. I mean, God loves a trier, but I'm level 15, I ain't giving you a gold. Questing here was like a whole new experience. I didn't know any of the quests, the mobs really, or even the locations. I went to somewhere called Northside Hollow and there was 2 orcs grouped up with fiery weapon and enchants just slaughtering everything. It was like literally a graveyard here. So I had to try and get what tags I could, and when I got one of the orcs then challenged me to a duel. I take it he was mad. But with his gear and world buffs, it's just a simple ain't happening, chief. My main goal was also simple. Get past my hunter's old level of 16 and push towards 20. The point where the druid class truly starts to shine, at least from what I've done research into. So far we were flying and I made sure to grab every single flight path, learn first aid and keep my professions up to date. And I accepted all the dungeon quests. I still don't get why we're working with Varamathras, probably said that wrong. He's literally a demon, right? Then again, Sylvanas isn't exactly a nice person either, so guess it makes sense. I was really enjoying the Silverpine Forest experience. I was level 15 and it made such a change from the usual steps I used to follow. I teamed up with undead to take out leaders and I won myself some nice upgrades everywhere. And even though I've died so many times in hardcore, swapping my race and route and most importantly my class was giving me that eagerness to constantly log in and play. And of course the buff helped this too. Eventually my time in the forest came to an end, and druids have access to a teleport in Moonglade. I could quickly travel then between Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, and I had a trainer there, so I was learning new spells along the way which cost a fortune. I picked up some heal over time, AoE abilities, a stun and an attack power debuff. Basically druids can do everything. Leveling and learning so many new things felt pretty amazing. I didn't know what to actually buy though or what spells I'd even use, so I was learning them all, and I'm probably going to regret that. I also spent a lot of money on a pair of +5 agility boots for 30 silver. Why not get value out of my gold since I usually die with a full bag anyway, so why not actually use it? Forks had also been leveling a druid and was catching up to me, and he was level 13, and we were all going to do Ragefire chasm together. But first we had to go to dreaded Skull Rock Cave. This place has killed me and my friends so many times over. Shadow Lurker even says to me,
Don't go up here.
but with 3 bears. Yeah, there's 3 of us now. Along with this buff, there is no chance of us dying. We are a force to be reckoned with. It took me half an hour to actually loot the bloody insignia needed for the quest, but we got there in the end. Which then took us to the worst part about this dungeon, getting the quest before it. You gotta run to Thrall, then you gotta run all the way to the Cleft of Shadows, then you go back to Thrall, and back again. Whoever designed this quest, screw you. Now we was 3 druids, well bears, a shaman and a hunter, so surely nothing can go wrong for us. I ended up winning some juicy braces and seeing stuff with plus agility on it made my mouth water. But it was like 4 or 5 of us that wanted it, so loot was highly competed with. Actually, we were so overconfident because of the buff that led to a massive pull. And while I was going to stand there and fight, I could see there was too many. People were slowly running and backing up, and yeah, I think this is best to run the hell away. Why does this always happen? So we run to the start of the dungeon and we realise, oh wait, there's only 3 trogs, we could take them. But then the hunter's pet comes running over that hill with an army more of trogs, and we just run. With a pretty close encounter behind us, we take it a little bit slower now. With several druids and a shaman, things started to get really weird. We had 2 tanks, then we had 1 healer, and then a druid started healing, and it was all chaos, but it was perfect chaos. I didn't know who was doing what job. The hunter was just kind of chilling doing DPS in the back, and he must have thought what the hell was going on. Even the shaman would take a pop at tanking using spells like Earthshock to keep aggro. But it didn't matter, the dungeon was super easy from here on out and we just blasted through it in no time. We then hit level 19 and was questing in the Barrens, one of my favourite zones, although I had to take a break from it because I died so many times. I didn't want to do this zone back to back and ruin it for me. I'd already now overtook both of my Night Elf hunters and I was fast approaching level 20. I was in a group with Shadow Lurker and we was just questing and chatting as evening was approaching. And I didn't notice this at the time, but his health is getting really low with frostbolts and frost armor. In fact, he died. And he wrote,
Well shit.
So he said a lot of casters respawned, and I know exactly the place he's talking about. It's in Silverpine Forest where Dalaran mages are. I didn't show you that part as I grinded it out very easily and there was nothing to show. So I was shocked he died there. Well, I'm not really shocked. But as the saying in hardcore is, go again. I mean, to be fair, he didn't log off for about 10 minutes. He just sat there raging, but I understand that feeling all too well. After a few more quests in the Barrens, I finally managed to get to a decent level in 20. The main level every druid talks about. But why do they want to be level 20? All will be revealed soon. Before I could even show you, I had just a few more quests I really needed to finish off. I was questing in the Stone Talon Mountains and there's an escort quest here. A troll is killing some mobs here and he sees me, he runs in with loads of mobs on him and starts the quest solo. That is really a dick thing to do. He could have invited me and we'd done the escort quest together, but no. He went out of his way to solo start it. I've not actually had to ignore many people on my travels, but Yamins, you've earned yourself a spot on the list. And while some people you forget about, others you make friends with, like Toddler Shop. What a weird name thinking back on it. We teamed up to do a few quests around the mountains and take down the huge spider here. It's like in my office room at the moment. I swear I've got these little baby spiders dangling in front of my monitor. I don't know where they're coming from, but I'm going to find them. And there's only one way to deal with spiders in your house. Also, here is me who is loving this druid that made it to 20, jump off cliffs because I'm stupid and need to obviously turn my brain back on. Why do I do things like this? But I did learn my lesson a little bit as I came across a rare Taskmaster Whitfang, and as much as I wanted to kill him, with him being 2 levels higher and having a lot more health, I decided not to play with fire and just give that one a miss. Quite frankly, I'm glad I did, as moments later I pull a mob, but I'm not at full HP. Then I get crit, and another mob is attacking me. It was time to use some of the stuff I've got. I had to use the sleeping sand that I got into his full glade to put one of them to sleep. This brings me out of bear form though, so I take more damage. I also had to make sure not to pull anything else. It was kind of a scary moment, but thanks to having access to heals, I stabilise. Alright, I've really got to focus now. The reason every druid wants to get to 20 is this: cat form. I mean, 1, I'm a lion with horns, how cool is that? And 2, look at my damage, it's incredible. It increases my agility, gives me access to stealth, on top of letting me talent into a movement speed buff outside. It's fantastic. And with the onyxia buff right now, it goes perfectly with cat form. Weirdly enough, I didn't have to do any quests for this form, I just learnt it from a trainer. I wonder why they didn't give you a quest for this. Anyhow, I felt like a better rogue. I could now tank in bear form if I wanted, do great DPS as a cat, run faster, and I can heal. I was loving it. Running around as a lion in the savannah in the evening was a really immersive experience, or maybe it was my inner kid going, cool. The leveling just didn't slow down. I was having way too much fun to stop and take a break, write some of this script. I just kept wanting to play, so I just kept playing. I accepted a quest that would teach us another form really soon, but this is a quest that we're just going to do passively and try not to do straight away. Although it does have us swimming to the bottom of the lake straight away, but we can hold our breath, so we should be alright. I hope the next part isn't any deeper water, and yeah, it's probably going to be, isn't it? We need to collect the pendant of the sea lion, but I'll come back to this in a little bit. I ended up doing a full run of Wailing caverns, but I didn't manage to finish off all the quests in here, and in hardcore you're locked to running each dungeon only once per day, so I decided to just tackle it the next day. And as the sun rose, that's what I'm going to do. Now I am a feral druid, and feral druids can tank, although I haven't chosen to take the armor talent, so I'm also really scared of being smacked in the face by elites and relying on my healer. What can I say after all my deaths? I'm a little bit traumatized, you know? I would tank if it is the last resort, but I just did a slash who warrior and whispered a crap ton of them. Hey, I want to enjoy doing DPS. Turns out one of the warriors I whispers knows me from my videos and said he'd come, so that works out perfectly, and I was ready for another dungeon. But our priest healer wasn't really that kind to me. He already asked me if I would tank and I said no thanks. Then when we was killing the goblin outside of the dungeon and some raptors, and I mean we was dealing with these fine, the priest mana barely got used and me and the rogue was doing great. The priest puts,
Drew go tank.
So I just say no. The warrior then says that he came to tank and then she puts,
Zayball.
I don't know what it means, but it feels like it's an insult. Oh well, what can you do? I refuse to stick to the meta. I will be a cat DPS. At least while this buff lasts anyway. No more words was then said between me and the priest. I think she understood I was here to do damage when I was topping the DPS meters. And we was cruising through finishing all of the quests. Now everybody kept rolling bloody 67 in this place. I did it first and the mage did it. I'm sure there's a meme with them numbers here that the younger kids are saying, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm sorry. Loot was flying about and I even saw a ring drop, something you don't see very often. I lost it to the rogue, but the most important thing was having all of these quests completed in my book, something I usually don't do in this place, as the drop rate is hideous for some of these stuff, and it's just such a massive dungeon too. But having all that done makes me feel so much better. Then we fight a Murloc that's basically equivalent to Godzilla in Murloc sizes, and we finally finish off this place. And I hope I never ever have to come back here. I do love you, Wailing Caverns, I've just seen you way too often. I'd hit level 24 now and find myself logging in practically whenever I could. I really didn't want to take breaks. I was looking like a proper horde leveler too, with them famous green shoulder pads and the crescent staff to go with it. I was selling off everything I could on the auction house too, trying to make some gold. Everything was going perfect, which means I've got to be on high alert as I know trouble is usually around the corner for me. One thing that was funny too was the fact cat form outside can increase your movement speed by 30% thanks to feline swiftness. So as soon as you enter a town or a cave, you just kind of slow way down like you're being very polite to not run indoors. But as soon as you leave, you put on your night trainers and off you go. I also came across a path I've never took before, at least I don't remember taking it. Maybe I did on my rogue, but I highly doubt it. It connects Stone Talon Mountains to Ashenvale, and I see the Alliance counterpart of Druids here. And sure, their cat form does look cool. I swear a lion with horns is cooler, what do you think? I was roughly the same level as my mage now when he got slaughtered and died in the very same zone too. So I was using my character's deaths as kind of checkpoints. We've got the mage at level 24, then my orc hunter at 25, with my highest ever character being only level 27. That's not very good, we've got to break this curse, and that's what I'm hoping I can do with a buff. As the sun is then setting and people are flying over my head on their own adventures, I remember there's also a Alliance man here that I slaughter pretty often. I decide this time, knowing he's just here after treasure, to spare him, and I let Talon live by his fire peacefully. My journey took me everywhere. I teamed up with way more undead in a cave farming tide priestesses for way longer than I'd like to admit, to find ourselves a damp note. I remember Blackfathom Deeps, it was about as far as I got with my hunter before the incident happened. We've still got a bit of leveling up to do before we can do that, but picking up the pre-quest now is a really good thing. And if you remember earlier about needing the pendant of the sea lion, well, we found one in the Barrens. It was in the Sludge Fen. I don't know why it's put here where goblins are building and stuff, but we got it nonetheless. Now, I've not really shown you many close calls lately, and that's because they are few and far between. At least since I got access to cat form, I'm just a powerhouse. But it does happen, even with mobs that are grey to me. I can end up accidentally pulling more than one in a cave, and that spells trouble. But I do have access to so many health potions thanks to alchemy, I should be okay. And we've got the Dragon Slayer buff still up. I think without it I probably could die to grey mobs, but I'm curious to see what life will be like for my druid when it does disappear. For the other half of the pendant, it took me all the way across the world back to Silverpine Forest and far out to sea, where I encountered another druid doing the same thing, I believe. This one was a bit scarier as we had to go right to the depths with our breath running down. I told the young Tauren not to drown here, and thankfully Blizzard added a way to breathe down at the bottom, or you probably could die. We retrieved the other half of the pendant and swim back to the surface. Honestly, I kinda wish that the bubbles wasn't down there, would have made it a lot more funny. Well, more tense on hardcore especially. And I didn't actually know WoW had hammerhead sharks in this game either. Luckily it doesn't spot me as I don't want to get eaten. I then went to Baron's Peril, a place I think I saw Snoopy down his druid ages ago. It's a cave full of undeads, and luckily for me there was a shaman and a mage already killing things here. Caves for me are somewhere I'd probably try and avoid unless I'm going in there with other players now. And as Kaseya even says,
Funny all my druid tries end here in death.
yeah, I figured this place could be a death trap. But once again, friends and the onyxia buff just makes light work of any problem. Days were just flying by and I was getting way too attached to my druid. I really just didn't want to lose this character. I hit the milestone of 25 in Hillsbrad foothills and once again was just teaming up with horde players everywhere. And I must say I really started to prefer the horde side on hardcore. I even found a ring that had like +6 frost resistance, and I know resistances are worth a pretty penny in classic too, so I'm hoping this sells for a fortune and makes me super rich. But I could sense Blizzard was out to ruin my happiness and destroy my druid as they started putting NPCs in the sky to ambush me, but I'm growing too powerful for them to handle. They need to send more if they want to stop this druid. Questing in Hillsbrad was just a perfect time for me, I generally loved it. If you're new here, if you've watched my videos before, you know I love questing in the rain in classic WoW. It just gets the weather right. The day, the night, the rain, the sun, I just take it all in. But getting too immersed or too comfy sometimes is a bad thing, as I nearly run into level 32 lions and I would have found myself obliterated pretty fast. I got slightly too confident too, and taking on 2 mobs shouldn't be that much of an issue. Although these guys was hitting pretty hard and I'm in cat form. I could swap to bear, but I decided to finish them off with damage. I put up a bleed on one and try and run away to heal, knowing that he's going to die to it. I stun to get off the heal as I'm pretty low, but the tailor also knows a stun too and knocks me down. I go down to a dangerously low amount of health, and that's where the sticky glue really comes in clutch, allowing me then to heal to full in basically one spell. But once again, way too close to the comfort, and my lack of knowledge there nearly killed me. I couldn't take losing this druid, especially at level 25. I'm so close to beating my record, I'll do everything I can to protect it. Fast forward a little while later and I decided to tackle Shadowfang Keep, another dungeon. Now we have a low level with us, well he's 23 so not too low, but he could potentially pull this whole room and everything else inside of it. So we move inside, there's a lot of people in here, seem like veterans. So when we do go up the hill and see every single mob running at us, yeah, it's time to run away again. I've had this happen before, but we did survive it. Could we potentially take them on again? The tank wants to attempt it, I mean there's a lot of them, but why not? He's got more cojones than I do, that's for sure. His health dips, but we do have a mage casting AoE, my damage is alright too, as well as our hunters, and no pull is too big for us. We once again take them out, and I'm starting to think that pull is actually more scary than it is deadly. Weirdly enough, the items in Classic WoW are pretty similar too. I win a cape off a boss with a massive 4 agility and 2 stamina, a huge upgrade for my cat. However, the next boss drops another cape with 4 agility and 2 stamina. What the hell, is this a thing where they drop the same item, the very next boss with the same stats? I mean genuinely, I don't think I've ever seen this happen before. We ended up taking on Archmage Aragul. He also mind controls someone, so it could be pretty worrying if people decide to just nuke you. But we just sheep the warrior and I decide to actually use my bear form to tank the boss. I dodge his void bolts that when they do connect do kinda scary damage, but nothing that's too much for my mighty bear. We collect his head and we're making even more progress. We were so close to level 27, the highest I've ever been. Could this really be my saviour? I tried to hunt down the rare creature, our tanker, but this shiny Pokemon was always dead in every single layer I could find. And I even got more luck as I killed a scorpion that dropped the Ring of the Moon. Rings are so scarce in the game, so hopefully that's more gold in my pocket too. My brain also works in mysterious ways as I want to showcase you something, and please let me know if you've done this before. While questing killing quillboars, I came across a chest in the open world, a lovely sight for any adventurer. I loot it and it doesn't contain much, but it does have some healing potions and a bolt of linen cloth, but I leave the water and food inside it for future travellers. Then when I kill some mobs, I loot the chest again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've just looted this one. Which is fine, so I go about my business and I kill the bosses around here that I need to, and I'm noticing my damage is still really high, but mobs are also starting to do high damage to me. But with this kill I hit level 27, my highest ever character on hardcore. All I need is one more level to have a new record, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Then I end up rotating back to near where the chest is and I open it again. Like, did I forget that I've looted this 3 times? Did I expect something different when I looted it? Wow, I truly do amaze myself. And just as I was getting comfy for the night, grabbing a few beers, killing some dwarves, I pulled the last foreman, but then another one spawns in, and all of a sudden, I'm trapped. I then try to leave the area, I end up pulling 4 to 5 dwarves on me, and I'm out of mana to shapeshift into my forms, and I'm staring death right in the face once more. I pop a health potion and I get dazed so I can't run away. Is this it? Dead at 27 again. But then I resort to using my sticky glue to trap people in place. I get just enough mana to shapeshift into my cat form and I use my brand new dash ability, increasing my movement speed to get the hell out of there. And with that close call, I was way too scared to play again that night and I logged off knowing I'd only have one more day of this buff actually left. I then woke up the next morning eager to play to get as much done as I can and make use of the buff before Blizzard will remove it forever. I actually turned in the pendant too that I farmed all over Azeroth, and it taught me the underwater form of the sea lion, which means I can now permanently breathe and move faster underwater, which is nice. It is when I spend the whole morning swimming up and down the coastline waiting for a Leviathan to spawn, and just another thing drawing me into the Druid class. What can't this class do really? But the reminder of it all being taken away was constantly there in my face. I would come across fallen Tauren in battle, a fresh corpse. Not much further up the mountain lied a dead troll too. I didn't take the signs on my mage. Are these my warnings on my druid? With most of Stone Town and the Barrens now completed, I ventured off into Ashenvale, as the music and ambience hits me every time. The path I took was full of high level creatures, which means they do more damage and they take longer to kill. I was still really powerful though, don't get me wrong, but I would have to probably play a bit safer now if I wanted to make it to level 30. I came across a rare elite, a bear, Ursulok, and as much as my insides was screaming I could take this on, I battled with myself going back and forth. I decided it's not worth dying, not now. I'm level 28 and I'm the highest level I've ever been in hardcore WoW, so I left it alone. But some level 31s I just had to take on, like Sharp Talon. He's a quest I needed to get and he's pretty strong, but thanks to now having access to Rip and Rake 2 bleeds, I just felt unstoppable. I wasn't a fan of Frost Mage just pressing Frostbolt, so having access to a couple of different abilities to take down my prey is fantastic. So I went to do a quest, I needed someone called Ordoris's Head. However, it's supposed to be pretty hard. I tried to recruit somebody to come and help me, but I didn't have much luck doing so. And I thought to myself, I'm a druid, surely I can do this. So I make my way into Rainwood Retreat, which is basically occupied by other druids too. I had to clear out some of them, but they didn't put up much of a fight to be honest. Then I went looking for their leader. I used my prowl ability to set up an ambush and I popped some potions to buff me up. And when I make it to the top of the tree, I see he's there with 2 guards. If I can just pull one guard out, this should be an easy fight. So I pull out a Vindicator, but they all come running out. So I guess I gotta fight them. But then he summons some Trents too, and they start doing a crap ton of damage to me. I then run on top of the roof and I know when I'm staring death in the eyes. I wait to see if they're gonna stop coming for me and reset, but they don't. And all I see is an absolutely massive army of trees running out the door hunting me down. They just start flooding over the mountain. Yeah, definitely not doing this quest. I ended up at 29, very close to level 30, with Blackfathom Deeps now awaiting. This was as far as I ever got before the incident happened. It took us 1 hour at least to get started as we waited for people to actually get here, as well as tanks that was saved. It was all a bit of a shit show to be honest, but we actually got started. Patience then was at an all-time low with the group and we took the usual shortcut way, which is just up and above the hill. It means you can skip about 4 to 5 mobs. When we arrived at the first boss, our tank was just not moving. He must have went AFK, or we didn't know what was going on, as this guy, wait, what does that name say? Wow. So I run back to see that he's actually here and he's moving, and he wrote,
"Damn it, why you get the normal way?"
So he's kind of stood there with mobs in front of him. So we show him, here, just come here, look, jump in the water and we can go around. And he says,
"Why this for skipping just one mob?"
So I just go over to him and start helping him fight the mobs, because we've waited so long that I just don't care now about skipping a couple of them. The priest is threatening to leave, the hunter is getting mad, and now I have a headache. It's whatever though, we kill them and continue. In fact, this group was just an efficient killing machine. Our rogue and hunter was doing an incredible amount of damage, and mine seemed to have fallen off a little bit in comparison, but I didn't really care. We just blasted our way through the whole entire thing with zero issues after that. Zero communication really either. And these Twilight Lawseekers cast a spell called Enlarge. That would be a very handy spell to have. God, I'm so immature. But with Blackfathom Deepstone, we headed to Thunderbluff for the final test, to cross the Bridge of Death. This is how it ended last time. This is the incident. Turning in quest for Blackfathom Deeps, but by looking down, paying attention and not getting blown off by a simple gust of wind, we cross the bridge safely. We then get to learn Travel Form, giving us a massive 40% outdoor speed boost, and I'm halfway to level 60. But with a buff about to go, there's not much time for me to get more use out of it. So how am I going to fare pushing for my mount and further without this overpowered buff? Once again, I'd like to thank War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to download it today for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and mobile, using the links in the pinned comment and the description. The bonus pack is available for new and returning players who haven't played for 6 months across PC and console. So go out there and get ready for war. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new, and to help me hit 20,000 subscribers, I'm so close and so thankful, and I'll see you in the next video.